going to go ahead with the Boaz Pirates this morning and Coach Jeremy Sullivan. Coach, I can't believe it's 5 years already. I believe this is your 5th year at Boaz. So introduce us to the two guys you brought with you and give us an outlook on the season for the Pirates.
All right, this is Carter Lambert. He's our quarterback. Played quarterback for us last year, senior, 30 ACT score. So he's smarter than he looks, thank goodness. And then this is Kendrick Jamerson. He's played offensive line and defensive line for us. He'll play probably some of both again this year. He's a senior. Been with us. Both of these kids have been with me since I've been there for 5 years. So it's been got to see them grow up and kind of develop as players. They're leaders on our team and leaders in our school. So I'm real proud of them and everything they've done and how far they've came. Going into this year, we got most everybody back on offense. We lost about 2 guys on offense. We got about 5 back on defense. We've added some new coaches. We hired Coach Brad Waldrop, who was at Geraldine previously as a head coach. Dusty Darnell, who I played with at JSU, who was the head coach at Crossville. So we've got a pretty experienced staff. I feel like it's the best staff we've had since I've been here and one of the best I've been around. I think they're guys who are very knowledgeable about football. They're good people, good with kids. We also added Shane Stewart, who was the offense coordinator at Collinsville the last few years. His wife was already part of the system, and we were able to get him. She helped with the recruiting, so she did a good job. And then a kid named Cody Aldridge, who I call a kid, but he's almost 30 years old, so I guess I'm getting old. But he came from Baldwin County High School down in South Alabama. He's originally from Susan Moore. We got a little project going on at the stadium right now, so we're a lot of things are kind of up in the air, but it's looking like we're going to be playing the first game on August 20th. Instead of playing there, we'll be playing at JSU. So we'll just change that home game from our place to JSU unless they can get some miracles happening between now and then. It's looking like it's going to be that second home game, West Point, before we actually get to play a home game in Boaz.
Coach, of course, we've talked some about COVID issues last year at this time. Last year we were looking at that. It's more of a normal year. Are you happy with the football team at this point in time as I guess you started practice this week?
Yeah, I guess I am. I'm not ever really happy with them. I'm as happy as I get, I guess. We've gotten good effort. Everybody's been there. They've given great effort. We've had I feel like we've had a good start to preseason practices so far. We had a really good summer. I felt like our intensity and our effort and our attitude this summer was great. We haven't had any attendance problems or anything like that. So, yeah, I guess I'm as happy as I get with them. Of course, all I see is the stuff we need to improve on. So, they probably think I'm never happy, but I don't want them to go back and tell the other ones that I'm happy. So, y'all don't tell that part of it. But we got a long way to go, and we're still trying to fit all the pieces together. But I think we're headed in the right direction.
Coach, you were one of the first back when the AHSAA passed the rule allowing for this extra week of fall camp. Why were you so quick to take the opportunity to get this extra week of fall practice, and even just 3 days into it, what are you seeing as benefits from that decision?
Well, for me personally, and I might be wrong, but I think you make most of your improvement. The biggest improvement made during the season is usually between week 1 and week 2. And I felt like if we could play a week 1 game that didn't count against the record, that it would really help us going into that week 0 game against Hayden. And I didn't want them to do the same thing and get a week up on us. And then spring practice to me has become almost more of a hassle than it's worth because you only get 10 days. If you play a spring game, that cuts you down to 9. And so you just don't have you don't have a lot of time. There's so much going on in schools in that last month of school. It's hard to get everybody out there. And since they changed that rule where you can get 2 hours a week for 10 weeks, we can get more done in that time than we could have doing spring practice. At the time, my coaching staff was kind of in flux because I'd lost a couple guys. I hadn't got the new guys in yet. So we were about 4 coaches down at that time. So we were, we just wasn't in a good spot to have spring. So it actually worked out really well for us, I think. We got our coaching staff there, gave them all summer to get to know the kids. I think it's really gave us we've got much more out of this first week than we would have out of spring practice.
Coach, to kind of piggyback off of that, is that something that you would rather see stay around from the HSAA having the extra spring or extra fall week, or would you rather have the spring? And number two, you mentioned Coach Darnell and Coach Waldrop. I've had the chance over the years to speak with both of those men. They are great men. They're good people. I loved my chance to get to talk with them. But would you kind of highlight how the kids have responded to their coaching thus far this year?
So starting with the spring practice, I hope we never do spring again. The only reason that I was still doing spring is because I didn't want anybody to get ahead of me, because I hate it. I think it's a waste of time. I think it's just a chance to get kids hurt. And, I felt like there's a couple times I'm out there watching baseball and I'm going, man, I hope we get beat so I have my quarterback. I mean, you don't want to be – it shouldn't be like that. And it puts kids in such a bind of going from one to the other. And then all the baseball coaches are football guys, and so they're walking right off of getting beat in the playoffs on Saturday, and Monday they're starting spring practice. They're not very good coaches those first couple of days. So I hope we don't ever do it again. I'd like to keep it just like it is. And those 2 hours a week for 10 weeks to me is the key, because as long as you keep that, you can get a lot done. You can get all your install stuff done, all a lot of fundamental work. We got a lot of stuff done in that time. Moving to Coach Waldrop and Coach Darnell, they are both fantastic people. I played with Coach Darnell at JSU. We used to go against each other in board drills every Tuesday. And, Coach Darnell would tell you, I won a lot more than he did. But I knew that the next Tuesday I was going to have to beat him again. And the next Tuesday I was going to have to beat him again. And so, he's a high energy, he's coaching D-line for us. He's a high energy guy. I think the kids really like him and respond well to him. Coach Waldrop, I didn't know Coach Waldrop, but I watched his teams play, and I felt like I knew Coach Waldrop, because those teams he coached at Geraldine were always so physical and tough, and I always felt like he got the most out of those kids that you could, that whatever the best they could do was what they did. And, I thought that adding somebody like that would be a big positive. He's running the special teams for us too, made him special teams coordinator, and he's just a super, super smart person, smart football coach. I didn't really realize what I was getting when I got him. He teaches math, so he's been able to take advantage of that teams, the new team stuff that come out. So, he ended up getting a huge pay raise, and I think it's worked out good for everybody, but I couldn't be more excited to have those two guys. It's just, for me, like something will come up, and I got those two guys and Coach Jennings, who's been a head coach, I forgot how many years at Susan Moore, a long time at Susan Moore, and then at Douglas too. And so he's seen a lot of stuff too. And so I got those three guys that I can get their opinion. Final decision rests with me and the consequences rest with me. But I got some really good input there from those guys. And, the other guys that are there, most of them have been with me now for the whole time I've been there. And so that, to me, that really makes a difference. They kind of know the way I think and what I expect. And it's been almost hard. I've probably had the hardest adjustment on what I'm supposed to be doing during practice sometimes. Like, we have so much help now that I'm like, golly, I feel a little left out, So it's took me a little while to adjust and try to use everybody and get the most out of everybody, including myself. So but I think we're finding our way, and it's going to be a very good thing for us to have those guys on our staff.
Coach, here on July the 29th, still 3 weeks away from the season starting, but talk about what you think will be the strengths of this year's Boaz football team.
Well, I think depth is one place that we have a little bit of advantage, especially in our region. We were counting it up today, and I think we're going to end up that first game. We'll probably play, around 42, 43 kids in the game. I think that's huge, especially early in the season. I don't know that we've ever had as high a ratio of kids that we're either going to contribute this year, or you could see in the next 2 years where their contribution's going to be. And every kid's important, and every one of them don't play on Friday night, and that don't mean that they're not important to the team. But I think we're going to have a really high number of kids that are going to be able to play early on, especially for us. I think that'll help us. We got a lot of experience on the offensive line, and I think that's going to be our biggest strength going into the season.
I do have a question for the quarterback. 30 on your ACT, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you just kind of describe your football IQ?
Well, I've kind of growing up my whole life watching football and playing football. And me and my dad have always gone to Alabama football games, stuff like that. So I feel like I have a pretty good football IQ. There's always more I can learn, and I'm always actively trying to learn. But I definitely feel like I have a pretty good football IQ.
Coach, this one's for you. Last 3 seasons, playoffs. You got there, unable to win a game. I know you want more than ever to win a playoff game in your tenure with Boaz. I know these kids want more than ever to win a playoff game. What is it going to take to get over that hump? And do you feel like having these guys, you've seen them grow as 8th graders to now being seniors, does that help kind of going forward?
I think playoffs is all about matchups. And we have to do a good job in the regular season to assure ourselves the best matchup we can. We got to win as many of those region games as we can, so we're higher seed, so we get a better matchup. And I think that's the whole key. And then we have to not worry about the playoffs or any of that stuff. We have to worry about improving as much as we can every day. And every day just try to get a little better. And by the time we get to that part of the season, I'm hoping that we'll be good enough and we'll have given ourselves a good enough matchup that we can be successful. I love our team this year. I love our kids. And I think I was talking to a group yesterday, and maybe I just talk myself into it every year. I don't know, but it's kind of like my wife has to talk herself into staying with me every year, I guess. I feel like I love my kids more and more every year. But it's good to talk to you when you're not trying to sell me extended warranty. I do appreciate that.
Coach, I want to ask you something. I know you can tell you're a hands-on type coach, so it probably is tough for you to step away and let your coaches do their job. But having a quarterback as smart as he is, do you ever kind of sort of let him dictate and call plays on the field, or you still do all that, or do you give him the freedom to kind of change the offense around a little bit, because he probably sees things a lot of people don't see?
We talk between every series about what he likes. One of my favorite questions to ask him is, what did you see? What do you like? His input is taken into what we do. And then, as we go along in practice, and me and him's been together so long that, we kind of know how each other think, and it, he knows better than to change the play that I tell him to run, but he has input on what plays we run, if that makes sense. And, some of the things he can do, he ran 4.4 at 2 different camps this summer, so he can run pretty good too. So, some of the things that we do are geared to letting him run the football, and take advantage of that. And he knows if it's, some of the things he does is, as being a smart, headsy guy, if it's 3rd and 1 and we have an RPO called, he's not going to pull it and throw it. He's going to hand it off and get the yard. He does things like that a lot. And sometimes I'm like, why didn't you pull it? Well, it's 3rd and 1, coach. So, sometimes he can be too smart for his own good. It's a little scary when you got players that are smarter than you, or you feel like they might be smarter than you. But he's a really smart kid, and he makes great decisions. And that's one thing that gives him a chance to be a good player for us, is he makes such good decisions that keeps us out of trouble a lot of times.
A couple of things for the players. First of all, both seniors, I think you said,
Yes, sir.
representing the football team, that he's chosen you to represent the football team at the media day. And the other thing is, do you see a difference in your teammates this year maybe than you have in the past as we head into the season?
I got it. The connection between us, we've all grown up, played football together, and we've just grown a bond between all of us. And I feel like that's going to help us win a couple games this year.
I kind of want to add to that. We're being the old guy this year. I'm so used to being one of the younger guys. So one thing I'm going to say, there's no division between grades, especially. I'm friends with a lot of the freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and that's been one thing I think is really cool this year.
And, Coach, before you go, I know you mentioned you may have to play the first game at JSU. Do you know yet for sure? I know I came by there yesterday, and I didn't see anything going on. I saw a field with a lot of dirt and nothing going on.
They've been getting at it now. They worked about 14 hours yesterday.
Okay, I didn't. When I came by, I
may have
didn't
been
see
right
them.
after they busted the water line.
Oh, that may have been.
Yeah, they were scattering. My principal was mad. But they're at it as hard as they can. If they were to get it done, we would play there. Right now, the plan that I've been told, the latest plan is we're playing at JSU. So
Okay.
That's what I've talked to Coach Register about at Hayden, and that's kind of where it's where the officials are supposed to show up that Friday night. So if by some miracle they were to get it done, then we would we would swap and stay at Boaz, of course.
Okay. Boaz Pirates, they'll open on the 20th then, I guess, at JSU against Hayden.
Yes, sir.
Coach, good luck this year. Thanks, you guys, for coming, and we wish you the best.
Thanks for having us. We appreciate it.